With the first pick.
Alrighty, welcome to another episode of On the Clock. On the Clock's presented by our friends at Titan Bat Company. If you're looking for the highest quality handcrafted wood bats in the game, Titan Bats has you covered with premium maple, ash, and birch game bats in 10 different models and colors to fit your swinging style. As you're gearing up for the spring season, Titan Bats is the perfect option for your next wood bat. In addition to game bats ranging from youth baseball to softball to men's baseball, Titan Bats also offers award bats to make the perfect gift to celebrate a teammate, coach, or baseball fan in your life. Check them out at titanbats.com and use the code JB15 for 15% off your order. All right, I'm Jared. That's Tyler. We got an awesome guest with us, the legend, Mr. Joe Doyle. Joe, welcome to On the Clock. It feels like we've been trying to put this together for like 2 years now at this point.
Get that legend shit out of here, man. God, it's just three guys who like to hang out and drink a beer together. What's up, man? Good to see you guys. I'm good, man. I love going on your guys' podcast. I love talking. I mean, shoot, I talk to each one of you, like both of you guys, all day, every day.
Yeah.
You know, outside of On the Clock. But yeah, man, it's just these are the guys where it all started, and it's always fun podcasting and talking ball with you guys.
Yeah, I mean, we're excited. We've been like waiting to do this podcast. I feel like for over a year. Tyler and I have been talking about it. How we've been like, we just want to get this Joe on, have a good conversation about the draft, talk baseball. So we're excited about it. I guess we're just going to talk a little bit, just 2025 MLB draft. For you, what is the state of this 2025 MLB draft class?
Oh, you would think. You would think like that seems like the easiest question. Yeah. Like that's the ball on the tee. Like it's the lead to every story you write.
Yeah.
Man, it's not great. Like I don't know. Like I look at it and I say the college bats in this class, you really have to kind of squint.
Mm-hmm.
I love Ike Irish. I do love Ike Irish.
Yeah.
I think that he would probably be a 15 to 20 guy, a 12 to 20 guy in most drafts. I think he could go in like the top 8 this year. I mean, I think Ivar Arquette is an exceptional player, but you're talking about a guy that could go in the top 3 picks with some question marks. And I don't think it's as simple as like prospect fatigue question marks. I think it's like actual question marks with some of these guys. I think the high school shortstop class here is going to do a lot of heavy lifting 5, 6, 7 years from now when we reflect on this class, because there are a lot of exciting high school shortstops, but as you guys know, you have to wait quite a while for them to flourish and blossom into who they're going to become. So, I think it's probably not as good as 24. It's definitely not as good as 23. And I kind of liken it to doing the draft in like 2016 and to a lesser extent, 2022. 2022 had those shortstops, at the top of the class that ended up being really good. And we'll see whether or not this kind of can match that.
Yeah, you talked a little bit, but kind of one of the strengths is the high school shortstops. Is there a specific high school shortstop that's really kind of top of mind for you?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think JoJo Parker is not getting nearly enough love. But I feel like I've been talking about JoJo Parker since like October. Like the dude had a 2% whiff rate in the summer. 3% whiff rate. He swung and missed at one fastball for a year.
It's crazy.
So I know he's not the sexiest like runner, thrower, athlete, but I mean, it might be the best hitter regardless of class in 2025. And I just think that type of player, they always go really good in the draft. So I'm a big JoJo fan. And he also has my name twice, which is really cool.
Yeah. Well, I think about like you're trying to build on a player, right? If the hit tool's that good, then it's almost like you hope the rest can kind of find its way there, but like it's really hard to teach a hit tool.
Yeah. And I'll say this about JoJo too, like sometimes guys get stronger in baseball and they just start moving a little faster. Sometimes they start getting, and I'll put this in quotes because I don't know what JoJo's summer and winter like specifically look like, but sometimes they start getting professional development and professional academy nutrition and things like that. And their game just kind of jumps to a new level. So maybe he gets a half tick faster and he turns into an above average runner with an above average arm. And maybe he grows into plus power from the left side in that 6'2" frame. I don't know. But to your point, Jared, like when you have a guy that can really, really hit, that's the one thing that a lot of times you just can't teach. And for me, that's why I would be really, really happy taking him at the top of this class. Not at the top, but
Yeah.
Top 6, 7, 8 range.
Yeah. Yeah, Tyler, I know you've kind of talked about the same thing. Are you seeing the same kind of in that college versus prep?
I just think the college, especially the college pass, like Joe had mentioned, like Jace LaViolette did not live up to expectations this year. Platoon risk, going from a guy that's a 1-1 pick to like Joe, you could probably chime in on this, like a 20th best prospect in this class now, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, now, I'll tell you right now on my board, I think the platoon risk is a very real conversation and not just like he's 20th on my board right now. That's funny. Yeah, he's 20th on my board. No, I think like sometimes you get these cliches that are thrown around like relief risk or, leverageable reliever or, platoon risk. Backup catcher is another one that I think gets thrown around a lot. I with LaViolette, I think there is a legitimate question as to whether or not it's a platoon risk because it's not just the baseball card and the production and the metrics from the left side, but just the eye test. He looks uncomfortable against, back hip sliders and back hip breaking balls and things like that. So, but if you have a righty on the mound, the ceiling for this guy is maybe the most talented player in the class. So it's tough.
Yeah. Could you see like a Jock Peterson type out of him?
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely a better mover than when Jock first came up. And Jock was a pretty good athlete for the first 4, 5, 6 years of his career. But like how far away is it from like Joey Gallo? Like Joey Gallo kind of turned into a bit of a platoon guy toward, the meaty part of his career. And maybe that's what you have with Jock.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like Jace has kind of been one of those guys that just when I saw him in the SEC tournament, when I saw him in the SEC tournament, like the fact that he went out there with a broken hand and just continued to play, like the mentality and like the mindset and like the competitiveness of a guy, like that's who you want on your team, right? Like he's got all those intangibles. But I think with the step back in performance this year, that's kind of where the question marks just kind of lie.
Yeah, I mean, from what I've heard, the makeup on Jace is 80. Like it's sky high. He's really highly regarded inside of that clubhouse, inside of that organization, and going out there and playing with a broken hand in an elimination game, I think says it all, right? Yeah. I mean, he's a grinder. He's a gamer. The
fact that he went and had the surgery and he's like, yeah, I'm just going to go out there and play.
I know. Can you imagine? Man, I don't play with a cold.
Yeah. What are some of like the top storylines for you too? Are there some surprising names that are kind of climbing up your board that you're like all of a sudden you're like, oh man, this is a guy that everybody should be paying attention to?
Yeah, I mean, I think some of the more surprising ones are the guy that I'm watching is Steele Hall. Like, this in a class that does seem to lack tools and traits and just ways to dynamically change the game. I feel like Steele Hall kind of has that with his 80 grade speed, and he's going to play shortstop. He's going to play center field. He's got a little bit of bat speed. The approach is very, very highly regarded in Georgia. He's one that I'm watching, and I think he's one of those guys that ends up going to the combine, and you see him amongst his peers. You see him in an environment with controlled variables, and if he performs at a high level, among his peers, it's the type of performance that could take a guy that's going to go 14 to 18 and vault him up into the, I'm not attaching any teams to this. I'm just saying numbers like 8 to 12 range. So I'm keeping an eye on him. Besides that, man, the one guy that I'm falling more and more in love with every day, and he's so counterintuitive to what I generally prefer in a draft, is Wahiwa Aloy. Like, I can't quit the defense, man. Like, I can't quit that glove. And despite the swing and miss, the swing looks like it'll work.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I'm not sure why there's so much swing and miss with this kid. But for me, I think you could make the argument, and I think some teams will make the argument that at least some will say Eloy is the second best bat in this class. Like there are teams that would take Eloy above Ike Irish, right? There has to be at least one. But at the same time, if you like Eloy, you probably like Arquette more just by virtue of, logic. So yeah, he's fascinating to me. And I think he could go a lot earlier than people think.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the glove and just the athleticism and the makeup, like if you're a team that knows that you can develop hitting, you're going to look at a guy like Eloy and be like, oh, this is a guy we're definitely going to take a shot on. Because you look at the EVs, the average exit velo, the max exit velo, like he hits the ball incredibly hard and he produces, like despite the swing and miss. And so you're just kind of like, if you're a team that's really good at developing hitters, you're going to look at Eloy and be like, yeah, we got to get this guy.
And it doesn't have to be like, you don't need to look at Eloy and say, how can we make this guy hit 280? Right? Yeah. Like the tools are already there for him to be like, if you hit 255, like I had a comp the other day. I saw the Javi Baez comps continue to just be everywhere with this kid, which is fine. I think it's a more apt comp, but like Jeremy Pena is kind of another interesting one. Pena is a better runner, and Eloy's got more power, but like, I feel like if there's a path for a 4th round kid out of Maine to become a 5-win shortstop with question marks coming out of college, then there has to be a path for Eloy with his glove and his power to turn into a 5-win shortstop. You just have to find a way to get him to hit 255, right? Yeah. So it's not a mountain that he has to climb, and he already checks every other box. So big fan.
No, I agree. Last question, I'll turn over to Tyler, is that you got a lot of guys that kind of been dealing with injuries throughout the year. The one guy that kind of sticks out to my mind is Ethan Conrad. Like he was just red hot until he went down with the injury. For guys like that, like what do you feel about their draft stock kind of going into July?
Well, I mean, I can't speak too much on this for like HIPAA violations and stuff, but I know Ethan was dealing with that for a long time, and he was still raking. Even when he was injured. So you look at that and you just think, and you look at what he did on the Cape, and you're just like, how long can this kid really last? Like in a class that has so many question marks with college bats, we've seen what Ethan Conrad looks like with a wooden bat in his hand. We've seen what Ethan Conrad looks like in center field. He's 6'3", it's left-handed. Yeah, I mean, I think whenever you're talking about a shoulder injury, and an injury that required someone to go under the knife, you're going to have question marks. But like, you take that kid at the back of the first, right?
Yeah.
Like if you're like Baltimore, or if you're like, I don't know, Philly, or, one of those teams at the back of the first round, that's got to be a consideration.
As a Royals fan, I'm like, you got 28 and you've been desperate for an outfielder.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how you wouldn't pull the trigger on a guy like Conrad if he falls there.
I will say this. The one thing about KC that I think is funny is there are teams that I've heard from that fear that Ethan Conrad is like a flash in the pan Gavin Cross. And for KC, it's like, this has taken a while for Gavin Cross to get to where he's at today. So I actually think Ethan Conrad is quite a bit more toolsy and I don't want to use the word talented, but just a higher ceiling than Gavin Cross, even what Gavin Cross was in his draft eligible year. So yeah, I think he's going to be the one that someone takes, and all the prognosticators and all the writers, myself included, are going to be like, yeah, this is the sleeper. This is the one to watch for, because nobody's been able to say his name.
Yeah. No, I'll say like Cross has dealt with his injuries ever since he's gotten to pro ball too. So it's just been frustrating. Tyler, turn it over to you.
Now that you bring up Conrad, I want to ask you this question, Joe, because I don't think I've had the chance to. But bringing up another outfielder, college-wise, that got injured this year, Max Bellew.
Yeah, like the Jungle Book.
Yeah. Yes. That's another interesting guy to kind of compare to Conrad. Like, obviously has the power, but I would argue there's more concerns on the hit tool. So I'm kind of interested to see how you compare those two, considering the talent level, and B, the injuries that they had this year. Because I know Bellew came back, but also didn't perform very well. So I'm very interested to hear your take on comparing those two guys.
I wrote a story in April on Baloo right before he got hurt, and it was just kind of playing around with some numbers, and it was players over the last 4 or 5 years that have been drafted with a whiff rate north of 25% and a hard hit rate under 50%. So obviously they struggle with just making contact in general, and they struggle with hitting the ball hard consistently. And the names that popped up on that list, and these are just guys taken in the top 5 rounds. Like the last couple of years, it was Matt Nelson, Denzel Clark, Christian Encarnacion Strand, some guys that are not too bad in that class. And then Max Wagner, Peyton Graham out of Oklahoma, Ryan Cermak out of Illinois, Jordan Sprinkle, Jared McKenzie, Cole Foster, Andrew Pinckney. The guys that I'm saying have not shot up, the minor league ladder. And I think it's interesting. When I wrote this story, there was 6 guys that were inside of my top 200, so like top 6 round range, that had that classification. It was Max Baloo, who was at a 27% whiff, 44% hard hit rate. And then there were some other guys that we don't need to bring up on this because I'm not going to just like catch strays out here on these guys.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's interesting. Like history doesn't really love Max Baloo, but then if you watch him and you read about the makeup and you talk to people around the program about Max, you kind of just want to run through a brick wall for him. Like you think that this guy would run in front of a train for his team. And I think that's something that we can't really measure in numbers. It's something that we can't always measure just watching the game with, on television or in person. So I'm a big fan of Max Baloo. I think there are obviously some concerns on the bat as a whole, but he's a good player and it's a good frame and he's coming from a big program and he's had some big moments. So I probably wouldn't take Max Baloo until like the 4th round, but interesting player.
Yeah, we had Nolan Kane on in the preseason, and he was just basically like the offense runs in Max. Like he's like we need that guy. The whole entire team not necessarily revolves around him, but he's like everybody kind of looks up to this good dude. Like when he's going, everybody else is going, and it's just kind of everybody feeds off of each other when he's kind of on his tears.
Yeah, and it looks like his numbers when he came back didn't really move much. He ended up with a 27% whiff and a 44.5% hard hit rate. So not a lot of movement in the metrics. Granted, I think a lot of people in that program would be quick to tell you off the record, probably, that he came back earlier than like a normal human being or a normal college baseball player would have, just because, the timing of the season and stuff. Yeah. And he knew, that this is potentially the end of your college career. You want to play again. So I would be interested in taking a flyer on someone like Max in the 4th or the 5th round, because I think you might be able to get quite a bit more value than maybe what the metrics and history suggest.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. So, and there's another guy I want to talk about too, like complete opposite side of the spectrum, where not a ton of power, lots of contact. You probably already know who I'm talking about. Our 56-degree wedge swinger, Jake Cook.
I love Jake Cook.
Dude.
I truly love Jake Cook. I comped this kid to Jarren Duran like the day I saw him. It was like this guy might not hit a home run. He might not ever hit a home run. And then of course, I think I hadn't even written him up until like March. I write him up and he hits like 3 home runs the last 3 weeks of the season with EVs of like 98. You're like, what are you? What are you? What are we talking about? But I mean, we talk about Steele Hall. Maybe Jake Cook is the fastest guy in the class. That'll be an interesting thing at the combine. I actually don't know if Steele Hall is going to run. If I were him, I probably wouldn't run. You don't have anything to prove in that department. But it'd be cool if Steele Hall and Jake Cook both ran at the combine just to see. Can one of those guys break 6'2"? Like, maybe? I don't know. Jake Cook is really fascinating though, because it's left-handed, it's 6'3", it's arm strength, it's center field, it's highlight reel plays. The swing is a swing.
It exists.
It's got there's some tinkering to do there, but man, if you get him into the right PD system, if you get him into the Dodgers system, like dude could go to a couple all-star games.
Yeah.
It's
I mean,
so
it was fun
fun.
to watch in the Sun Belt tournament, man. Like that guy, the offense, just watching him at the top of the lineup, he's just a table setter, and he just gets on base every single time.
You guys have both seen him. That doesn't look like. I haven't seen him live. I've watched quite a bit of film. Unfortunately, I have very few open side looks on Jake Cook at this point. It doesn't look like below average bat speed. And maybe it's just the 6'3" frame. Maybe the hands get outside of the body, and that's what causes it all to slow down. But Tyler, I know you've seen him. What was your take on the bat speed and like the bat speed projection?
I think there's something there in terms of bat speed, and I think you mentioned it on your write-ups of Cook. Like you put that into a player development system and the right fit, there's enough maybe power projection to get to like 40, 45 power in the future. Yeah. And put that to a profile that's arguably 7 or better speed, 7 better arm in center field. And you know, that in my opinion would be a legitimate all-star maybe in the future. It's really fun to kind of look at. Like I remember going into that game like, oh yeah, I'll go see JB Middleton, this, and this. And I think I texted you like halfway through. It's like, who the hell is this kid? And why is he good?
He touched 109 this season. I'm just seeing he grabbed.
Oh,
I don't know when it happened because last time I looked, he was at like 105.8 or something. But he touched 109 and 85 average exit velo. That's crazy. Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be a project.
Wasn't he also he was a pitcher before he even transitioned to outfield too?
Yeah,
like.
But I guess the arm injury that kind of forced him to the outfield was actually not his throwing arm, so that's why the arm strength is still there. Yeah, the whole thing is kind of weird. But
you look at his spray chart too. Everything's like middle left.
Yeah, and they're all choppers too. They're all choppers. If he hits it to the right of the shortstop, it's a hit.
Yeah.
So you're not throwing him out. It's
it's I would say, we led this thing off with like, what's the narrative of this draft? And those guys, those outfielders, those super crazy toolsy outfielders in the second and third, and I guess you can put some in the fourth round, are like maybe one of the most interesting demographics for me because you lump in Cook with James Quinn Irons. And I mean, I don't know where you guys have Corbin Dickerson going, but like maybe late second, like it's crazy tools. I'm missing one too. I mean, Mason Navilla is going to go pretty good. I don't know if I'd put him in the same tier, but there's just a lot of like tall, wiry, long framed outfielders that, some of them hit left-handed that check so many boxes. Ryan Weidman. That's the other one I'm thinking about. Yeah, it's just like if I was a team that landed one of those players in the fourth round, I would be super excited if I was a fan. Just because it's like, okay, we got our first rounder, it's a college pitcher, whatever. We got our second rounder because we didn't have much money. It's a, whatever, it's another college pitcher. And then we got James Quinn Irons. Like this is who I can dream on potentially being a star. Now it's a shot in the dark, it's a needle in a haystack, but the tools exist if the PD is good.
So, yeah. But I think that's what you're going to get with a lot of this class, right? Too. You're going to get a lot of shot in the darks.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting when we were coming into this season, the word was there's going to be a lot of pitching depth, a lot of college pitching depth in like the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th round. I don't know about you guys. I don't really think it materialized. And anybody that was good, like shoved their name up into like the 2nd round. So I don't know if, depth would really be the right word. There's a lot of good pitchers in this class. I just think they're all going to be gone in the top 80 picks.
I would say Patrick Forbes right now. One of those guys that's pushed his way up there. I think he just set 2 guys down, 97, 98 with the unicorn fastball that he has. Like, first off, thank God that kid finally came back and started dominating because I know there's a point in time where he couldn't throw strikes. He was really struggling. I think if I remember correctly, it was the NC State start where he walked 7-3, which really brutal to watch. But now he's come back. He had 20 whiffs against ETSU in the Vandy regional.
20 whiffs.
Yeah,
20 whiffs on the fastball.
Just on the fastball, I was going to say his slider is so often uncompetitive that I was guessing like 17 of those were going to be on the heater.
Yeah, it's really unique in what it is, and it's like he's touching 100. Like, I think one team that makes sense, and there's a connection here with the Cardinals. Put him in the Dodgers system.
We can't just keep saying Dodgers.
everybody's going to the Dodgers.
It cannot just be, imagine if this guy is the Dodger. Like, there's a 3.5% chance of that happening.
Hey, the Royals can develop arms now. Right?
I was going to say the Royals at 28, that's a pretty good spot for Patrick Forbes. And I said, I tweeted this the other day. I think it was during that start. I was like, someone's going to draft Patrick Forbes, and he's going to end up being like the third best arm in this class. If they can just tinker it to where he, like the Astros philosophy is, hey man, you have big shit. Just like hit that black box, like anywhere in that black box, and let the results land where they may. Yeah. But don't get yourself in trouble. And I think if he can just get like that mental cue of, hey, I know how to throw the ball. I know how to shape the ball. Just like throw it anywhere in that box. Throw it right down the middle. Or that's what Kyle Bodie is talking about in Boston. Mm-hmm. Got a big fastball. Throw it right down the middle. And if you miss high, it's a dot. And if you miss low, so be it. It's still a big fastball.
Mm-hmm. Royals got the Raid the Zone t-shirt. So, I mean.
See, man, like, I don't know what it is with Forbes. I don't know if it's a mental cue, if it's a visual cue, if it's a sequencing thing. It could be a number of different things. But a lot of times and Jared, you know this, like, a lot of times with those guys, it's just like, and Tyler, you might know this from the golf course like me. A lot of times it's just like one like mental thought. Like, this is what I'm going to visualize. Yeah. This is how I'm going to execute it. And then you're off.
Yeah. So. No, that's definitely like the best way to put it, especially with golf. Because I picture myself as like, oh yeah, middle of the fairway. Like, this is going to be perfect. 30 yards right. Or I hook it into the trees on the left. So I'm like, okay. And
I just point to the houses on the left, and then it hooks back into the middle, and I'm good.
You know,
my rare time to go straight.
My cue lately, just the last couple of years, it's helped me take another step. Is I'll step up over the ball, and we're getting way off track, but I'll step up over the ball, and I'll visualize like where my target is. I'll set up to a point like 5 feet in front of me or whatever, and then it's just I'm on a driving range mat. Like, that's all this is. It's just I'm just gonna make a golf swing. I'm just gonna be an athlete. There's nothing up there. Like, there's not a green, there's not a bunker, there's not water. I'm on a driving range. This is a mat. I'm just going to make my swing. And sometimes I'm using that as an example, as like, sometimes it's that simple. Like, just the way that you're thinking about your next pitch or your next swing. I hope for Patrick's, future, for his standpoint, that's all it is. And that he actually is a better strike thrower than what he's shown. Because, man, his stuff is just huge.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I remember that Shriner start we saw him versus Texas. It was just an electric factory the entire time.
People were calling for him in the top 10.
Yeah.
Like, from week 1.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
Bonker stuff.
Yeah. What about you? I kind of want to flip it back on you guys because I feel like we don't have these extended conversations via text or on the phone or whatever.
Yeah.
Tyler and then you, Jared. Mm-hmm. Tyler, who's the player for you in this class? The like storyline guy that you're really kind of watching and seeing. Who are you really excited to see how this whole thing transpires?
So, I'd say somebody in like the back half of the first round. So maybe someone like Andrew Fisher for one. Have always loved that guy, and I feel like he doesn't get enough. Like you mentioned with JoJo Parker earlier, like nobody talks about him enough in like a certain part of the first round. For me, it's like we've talked about this before. Like, it's optimized approach. He lifts the baseball and he punishes fastballs. Those are 3 of my bigger things in terms of like scouting pillars. In which, shout out to you because you're the one that helped me figure this shit out.
Me?
You were one of the people. You were.
Yeah, that's why you're so broken. What are you doing following my lead? Oh, no. Thank you for the kind words. Do you want to take golf lessons from me next?
Yeah, sure. We can do that.
Down to a 14 handicap. Anyways,
I don't even want to see what my swing would look like right now on the golf course.
Fisher, man, if I think if Fisher just hit the ball a little bit harder, he'd be a top 15 pick.
Yeah.
I mean, you watch him swing the bat and you watch him pimp the homers, and you're like, that's plus bat speed for sure.
Yeah.
And then you look at the numbers and you're like, he just looks like he's hitting the ball really hard, but in reality, it's just kind of, I don't want to say eyewash, but like he's just average to slightly above average raw power.
Yeah.
I was telling Tyler in the SEC tournament, I was sitting behind the batter's box, and like Fisher's just like a psychopath. Like as he gets ready for his at bat, he's like banging his helmet with his bat. I'm like, dude, this dude's just going nuts, like banging to the music. Like, I mean, that's kind of the mentality and emotion you want a guy to play with, though, right? Like you want him to go up there confident that he's going to get a pitch to hit and hit it out of the park, and then he does,
Yeah.
And it's just like it's nuts.
He's like that guy from Rookie of the Year.
Yeah,
The guy that has the big chaw and he just spits at the kid.
Yeah.
You're mine. And then he hit like 26 homers, so
yeah,
he won a lot.
Yeah.
What about you, Jared? Oh, keep going, man.
Oh, no, I was just gonna bring up two more guys that like I'm very interested on. Jacob Morrison, AaronWalton.
Mm-hmm.
Those two guys.
I love Walton.
Walton is so interesting too, man. It's like he doesn't lift the ball enough, but there's enough bat speed, there's enough power in there to where you get him to lift the ball more. I think you're looking to easily like a 15, 20 home run guy at the next level with the tools that can play center field. And with Morrison, like you look at it, you think 6'8", 245 is probably, not the best strike thrower because his limbs are probably over the place. He throws a lot of strikes, and that's credit to Matt Williams at Coastal Carolina for taking this kid, molding him into the player he is. Like he doesn't throw hard, but he's got the strike throwing, sets up everything well for the breaking balls, and it's just everything has worked fine-tuned for him this year to where I think personally he's like a third rounder, maybe even goes higher depending on how he performs. Looking at it now, maybe Sunday against either Oregon State or Louisville. Like,
dude, Coastal's in a really good spot too.
Yeah,
especially with that win today. Like, dude, they're in the driver's seat, and I can't even believe I'm saying that. Like, how many guys can you name on that Coastal roster?
Caden Bodine, Jacob Morrison, Cameron Flukie, like basically, and yeah.
Wait, who's the reliever? Come on, it's our chance
to
say his
Dominic
name.
Carbone.
No. Come on, Tyler. What's his name? The reliever.
Hayden Johnson, Ryan Lynch. Come
on, the day 3 guy we fell in love with that just like blew up last year. What's his name?
Oh my God. What was his name?
I gotta find it. I don't even think he really pitches right now.
I gotta figure this out now because now
Darren Horn.
There it is.
Yeah, Darren Horn. Anyways, spreadsheet hero. But no, dude, like that Coastal team, like it's like death, taxes, and all of the teams from the Carolinas just causing chaos every single June.
Yeah.
East Carolina never hosts a regional, always beats the shit out of everybody that they travel to, right? They always go deep. Coastal Carolina, North Carolina, it wasn't North Carolina's year, but like every year, man. Duke, you could put Duke in that category. Like they're always so good at the end of the year because of all the older players they have. Man, it's just
yeah.
But Morrison's
back
very
on
good.
Morrison, I saw him pitch in the Sun Belt against Marshall, and like he had a really rough kind of first inning, and he went back to the dugout, talked to Matt Williams, basically went out, adjusted everything, and he dominated with like not his best stuff that day. It was kind of impressive to watch because like he's got that mentality, he's got confidence on the mound. And I think that was the one thing that was huge for me when I watched him. You could just tell like he knew he had a bad first inning, went back in the dugout, figured out a game plan and attacked the hitters in a different approach than he did in the first inning, and then just dominated for 7 innings.
Yeah, he's very, very good. And yeah, he's like the perfect 3rd-round pick. He might go earlier. I don't know. We'll see. And Walton, I mean, you might as well lump Walton into the Cook, Quinn Irons.
Yeah.
He's not as tooled up, but maybe this might be a hot take. Walton might have the best feel for center field of like anyone of that group. I mean, is he a better pure center fielder from a feel and instincts perspective than Jake Cook? I kind of think he is.
The argument is definitely there. I don't disagree with that whatsoever.
He's really good. You look at his body, you see him, or his frame, you see him walk off the bus, and you're like, oh, that's probably not going to be like a center fielder. And then he like legitimately is.
Because he's like 6'3", 220 or something.
Yeah.
He's a big kid.
It's a big body. It's a big frame. He's pretty muscled up. You don't expect him to be as graceful as he is at the 8. And he is. He's a really good center fielder. And he hits enough. Like, he's a good hitter. What I'm trying to say is most of his tools are on the defensive side of the ball. But he's just a really, really good baseball player.
Yeah.
So, what about you, Jared? Who are you most intrigued by?
The guy that I really like, and this is probably more because I wish the Royals would fall to the Royals, is Riley Quick out of Alabama. I kind of have a soft spot for dudes who've gone through the injury recovery process right and come back and dominated. But he's just a huge imposing figure on the mound, like 6'6", 240, 250, something
huge.
like that.
Yeah.
He's got all the stuff on the mound too. I think he's hit triple digits with the fastball as well. I just really like this kid, and I think if you're kind of looking for more of a safe floor, of course, there's the injury risk that comes along with it. But like Riley Quick would be a guy that I'd be really interested in.
That's a good one. I feel like I need to pick a deeper name now because I was like,
go further down. JB Middleton, that's another fun one.
Middleton is good, but he's like another like 2nd rounder. I want to find someone that I really like later in the draft. Oh,
I want to know your thoughts on, because he's in my area, is Miles Upchurch.
I mean, Bloodlines, 97, young. Like, it's not often that the Bloodlines guys don't work out.
Yeah.
Well, the ones that get drafted, we see guys go to college all the time that don't pan out. But I saw Upchurch. I saw Upchurch at area code games, and I think it was. Man, I'm trying to think back now. I feel like it was 93 to 94. He grabbed a 6 and he kind of scattered it around. But he put on serious weight, got a lot stronger, and he just bullied guys all spring. Yeah. I'll throw another outfielder into our big, long, toolsy mix. TJ Tackett's at Bowling Green, 6'5", 200, draft eligible sophomore. I do like him quite a bit. I'll tell you one guy that I really like that isn't being talked about much. He's on everyone's board, so I don't know if he's like super hidden, but Lorenzo Miola at Stetson is the shortstop over there, and he's only 5'11", 175. But when I tell you guys, he might be the guy that I spent the most time on from a film perspective this year. I believe it. Like, I think I probably watched an hour and a half of Lorenzo Miola on Synergy. I'm not even kidding. Like, I probably watched him field 10 ground balls, and I was like, that might be a 7 glove. Like, with the way he moves and his first step and his hands and footwork. And then I kept watching, and I think I watched every single Lorenzo Miola ground ball from the last 2 seasons. Every single ground ball from the last 2 seasons, because I was just like waiting for him to make a wrong step or, throw across his body into the crowd, or like, I have a 7 on that glove. And it's not like he's 5'11". It's not enormous arm strength, but on the plays that he is athletically and physically capable of making, which I know is a big part of being a shortstop, it's a 7 for me. Like, he can make the plays to the right. If it's hit to his left or he has to charge on it, you're done. You are done. The arm strength limits him a little bit moving to his right, but I wish he could. I wish there was just a little bit more thunder in his bat. I wish there was just a little bit more impact in his bat. I have him in the 4th right now, which might be high. I don't know, but that kid is really, really good. And it's the only, him and Alloy were the only 7 defenders at shortstop that I graded out this year.
I think deeper on down the board, this is a guy I saw at the SEC tournament too, is Richie Bonomolo Jr. Out of Alabama. I feel like he got no attention because Justin LeBron, of course, is getting all the attention at Alabama. But like the swing was just so easy and compact. He plays really well defensively in center field. The overall profile, I mean, he struggled with off-speed stuff. That was the biggest thing I noticed at the SEC tournament. But he just makes things happen, man. Like every time Alabama was in some situation where they had runners in scoring position, it felt like he was up and he was making things happen and doing damage. And so I really like the profile overall. I think he's a guy that probably doesn't get talked about enough.
I saw him well repped on the Just Baseball 300, and I was like, I wonder who's standing that guy. It must be Jared because I know he saw him.
Yeah. Well, Tyler put the rankings together. So, Tyler, you got to have some thoughts there.
Yeah, I mean, you also kind of rubbed off on me a little bit. Like, I'm not going to,
man. Yeah,
yeah. Like, Bonomolo for me is like knows how to play the game. It's also I think it's a pull heavy approach too.
Yeah,
which is something I saw when watching his film. Quite a bit of bat speed. So, I looked at that and was like, I could see that being like a top 200 guy. And then you mentioned what he did in Hoover. And I was just like, okay, now I'm sold. And I think there's another guy too on the Alabama team, like Cade Snell, looking into that data too. Like,
yeah,
I wish he wasn't so old. And also, like Cade Snell, in talking to people around the country, like that guy might be on the Mount Rushmore for character and makeup.
Interesting.
Like they like bow to that guy in that program. They love Cade Snell. The Alabama program does. So yeah, I think he's going to get drafted pretty good, even though he's limited. I mean, he played like 7 positions this year or last year. Like he can play everywhere. He's not like particularly dynamic anywhere, but like that guy has a place in every organization. And, you know, sometimes it's the guy that ends up playing in AAA for like 3 years and then ends up managing the AAA team. And then he's the hitting coach. And, you know, he's going to be in baseball for a long time.
Yeah.
Good pull. Yeah.
Very good kid. And like, I know some people gave him some crap whenever he bat flipped the final fly out to, I want to say it was a Miami game, but he's got some legitimate tools with the stick, man. Like, what was it? He's like a 90% contact rate this year. That doesn't strike out, walks a good clip. You know, you mentioned it. He's old. He turns 23 in August or something like that. But he's definitely put himself into a place to where there is a role in the minor leagues, and even if it doesn't all pan out, like that's the guy that's going to be in baseball coaching until he's at least 60, 65, maybe even more than that.
I'm not even sure age is like as big a deterrent as it used to be with them eliminating levels of minor league baseball and with the short lifespans of front offices. You know, a lot of teams are just going to be like, hey, this is a guy that like could be in AA like by the end of the year. I mean, like you could make a case that Cade Snell can play at AAA in June of 2026. And then, you know, I don't know if he's tooled up enough or athletic enough to be a full-time player at the big league level, but or even a bench player that makes sense. But he does things well enough to survive on a 40-man roster for a handful of years. And if you get that in the 7th round or 8th round for $225,000 or even an underslot deal in the 6th round or something, like that's a really valuable player. So yeah, I'm pretty high on him. Let me ask you guys a question. Can we talk about 2026 for a minute?
Yes, please. Let's do it.
Because I want to know your guys, when is the last time? I haven't been putting out my 26 board because I'm just holding it for something, but your guys' 2026 board, when's the last time you updated it, Tyler?
I don't even know if I've actually put one out personally.
Oh, okay. Do you have a 1-1?
Right now, mine would probably be Chalowski.
Yeah, me too.
And just digging into that, like me and Jared were thinking of doing. I think Jared was the one that did a piece on like Justin LeBron earlier in the year, and we were
Yeah, I
thinking
did like LeBron versus Burris versus Chalowski.
yeah, like who are these guys that could fight for 1-1 like at this point? Because obviously you look at Burris, he's been there for two years already at Georgia Tech, and he's just been insane. LeBron added power this year and looked better. And then we come across Chalowski, like we didn't even think about him at first. And I looked at him, I'm like, holy shit, this kid's good. Like, where the fuck did this come from?
Yeah.
Like his full pull side power, like he's hitting the ball harder. He looks more physical than what he did in high school. Like this is
way more physical.
Like wiry as hell back in high school. So, and he still can make the tough play at the 6. Like he looks pretty darn good at shortstop still. I really like that profile, and I say it, I'm really hoping he shows up to collegiate because I want to see him badly.
I think Chalowski, you can't really do this because they have to go through their draft eligible year, right? Mm-hmm. But I think Chalowski would definitely be the number 1 pick in this class. Mm-hmm. Definitely. But even if you go back to 2023, like I think Chalowski might be, if you just took this year, like I think he might be a top 2 or 3 pick in that class. I think you would I feel like you would take Chalowski over Condon. It's not the same power projection, but it's a 50 plus, maybe if you squint, a 55 runner. It's a big arm at short. He's going to play the 6. I mean, it's plus raw. He's starting to get to his pull side. It's maybe a 6 hit, and it's a shortstop.
Like, that was the issue with the Condon, is like trying to figure out where he was going to play.
Shoot, does he go before Bazana? I think there's a case.
I think there is. Yeah. I think there's a case.
I don't know if he goes before. I mean, Dylan Cruz in retrospect or in hindsight, I guess, is a tricky eval, I guess. I think we should have looked closer at some of the under the hood stuff before everyone crowned him, and for good reason coming out of high school. But I think Chalowski is in that top 5 of 2023, at least at a floor. Like he's in that same bucket. He goes, we'll say comfortably in the top 3 in 24, and he's the number 1 pick this year. I think he's the number 1 prospect in 26, and kind of by like a pretty healthy margin right now.
Mm-hmm. Have you watched him in an interview too? He's like, acts like he's 50 years old.
Dude, I interviewed him when he was in high school, and But the thing is, when a guy's in high school, it's not like workmanlike. It's this kid's super boring. Like this kid has, like, he's just so stoic and blue collar in the way that he attacks his work ethic and stuff. And it's cool. I love it when I'm able to interview a guy twice in high school and then in college. Mm-hmm. He's really, really, really good. Really good. And if he puts together another one of these like 370 and 26 bomb years at UCLA, is a slam dunk. LeBron is really good, and he was crowned, the potential number 1 overall pick in March or April for a reason, but he slowed down a little bit.
Also, shout out to Savage for that recruiting class, the Chalowski class. That was an insane class.
Shout out to his patience too.
Yeah.
It wasn't like Roman Martin. It didn't happen right away. In Phoenix Call, it didn't happen right away. Yeah. And they all seemed to hit their stride like a month ago.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Was it Dean West? Was Dean West in that?
Dean West was in that class too.
Yeah. Duger as well. Cashel Duger.
Yeah. Malvoy Levu.
Yes.
I think was in that class too.
First baseman.
Yeah. That was a really good class. It's funny, the pitching in that class actually is what hasn't like taken off. And now that I think about it, there's an arm in that.
They're all like bullpen arms for them.
I saw Cameron Kim went to
Fullerton.
Yeah. No, who's the arm that I'm thinking of? Weston Moss,
Oh,
Wylan
yeah.
Moss.
Wylan, yeah.
Wylan Moss had a crazy good year, and nobody's talking about it. But I think he was the 2024 class. So UCLA's in a good spot, and we
Yeah.
definitely weren't saying that last year. So
Yeah.
but that 26 class, I'm pretty juiced for it.
It's going to be fun.
Yeah. There's a
would
lot of
say.
good shortstops in that class too, like Maddox Maloney at Oregon.
That kid's good.
Becker,
I saw him at
Tyler
Maryland. He was
Bell.
fun. Yeah.
Yeah, and some of the mid majors, I have all of these mid majors in my top 50 right now. I have Joe Tiroli at Ryder, who's transferring,
Yeah.
in my top 50. I have Aiden Robbins, who's at Seton Hall, not going to be for long. Top 50. I mean, who else?
Hakopian's going to a big school. I guess Maryland's
Yeah.
not a mid major, but
Hakopian, I don't know where he's going to end up. He's top 10. Yeah, man, like, and the Jackson Flores at Santa Barbara, mid-major, top 50. Peyton Bonds, Barry's nephew at Rutgers, he's really good.
Yeah.
Like, it's a good class. It's a really fun class.
It is. And like, just this week I was starting the prep side too, because 17U champs out here. That side of the class looks damn good too.
Did you get to see Tyler Spangler?
Yes, I did. And the swing, I love the swing. He doesn't chase, doesn't whiff. Really looked good in like the small sample I saw, because obviously it's 4 fields, 4 games at the same time. I can only see so much. But I enjoyed him. Bo Peterson, Grady Emerson looks pretty good as well. Lombard flashed a couple of times, like some of the tools that he has. Noah Wilson flashed a 3.98 home the first time.
That kid's crazy.
I'm like, what in the absolute hell did I just watch?
I feel like Noah Wilson should be in everyone's top 10 high school prospects for next year, if he isn't already.
Yeah.
It's not just he doesn't just fly, it's bat speed.
There's tools there. There's legitimate
Tronstein.
tools. CJ Weinstein can hit, like,
CJ Weinstein is next year's JoJo Parker. Cut it, make it a clip, put it on the internet. I don't care. Dude, I do this every year. I'm gonna give away my secret sauce, but whatever. I spend days doing this. This is what CJ Weinstein did last summer as a sophomore. He had 115 plate appearances. He had a 15% whiff overall. He had a 16% chase. He had a 7% end zone whiff, a 12% strikeout rate, and he hit the ball in the air 60% of the time.
Is that good?
Dude, like the most efficient hitter, like, but it's not tools. Like, it's just like second base tools, like it's not crazy. Nothing's crazy except for he's such a good hitter.
Yeah.
Like, he's going to be floating around everyone's 40 to 60 range, and I'm just going to be over here like,
hey,
top 15. Top 15 pick.
Yeah.
Hitters hit.
And
He's
hell,
so
like,
good.
some of the arms too, like Gio Rojas, first inning yesterday, up to 96, just peppering the zone with strikes, then breaks out I don't know what to call it at this point. Like, the best thing I could call it is a sweeper, but that thing just darts away from guys, and it's really, really impressive. Super athletic, low slot. It's funky. Like, the first time seeing him, and I was sitting there like, okay, yeah, I see the hype. I dig this a lot, actually.
Yeah.
And like, there's a few other guys too that I'm excited to see, like, later on in the summer. On the arm side, like Bo Holloway, saw him. He's an interesting kid. Very, like, the velo's there. Pretty good feel for the changeup. I think it might be an above average changeup too, just based off of what we saw. But I also think there should be a bit more in the tank, and also some more like arsenal tweaks you can make with that guy, to where he could be a legitimate, middle rotation guy at the next level if everything pans out. So there's a lot of intrigue in next year's class, and I think Joe, you might be able to have a better take on this because you might be farther in depth on this. But the college arms depth next year, on paper, looking at it, isn't as impressive compared to the rest of that class, and maybe that's just me saying shit because I haven't taken a full deep dive into that class yet. But
no, I think you're right.
Like if you want to go into that further.
Yeah, I mean, there's some guys like I think Liam Peterson is a legit dude. I think Gabe Geckel. The thing that is going to be difficult with Geckel is he's 6 feet tall. He's already got TJ behind him. Yeah. And Arkansas threw him in like a number of roles this year. So, but he was primarily a starter. But it's really big stuff. It's a really good pitch chart. Like he can do everything you want him to do to the ball. It doesn't like it's just there's some red flags just in general. I think Jackson Flora could throw 1,000 miles an hour next season. Like, dude, like, that guy looks like a pool noodle. Like when he throws the ball, it's just like so crazy elastic and whippy. We'll see if he kind of takes that next step. Joey Volchko is like one of the strangest fastball profiles in the class. Like it's very cutterish, but sometimes he tails it. But when he tails it, it's ever so slight. Like it's a weird profile. And then there's just a bunch of guys that like have a pitch or have like Cameron Fluke has huge stuff, but it's like mostly 2 pitches and scattered. Jason DeCaro is 5 or 6 pitches, but none of them like scream at you yet. Aiden Knock with the changeup. Who else? Chase Meyer has maybe the best wombo combo in the class, but like he doesn't know where it's going yet. So yeah, like, and then after that, there's a pretty big drop off until Kramkowski and Wes Mendez for me as like second rounders. Yeah, man. So like definitely not as sexy and top heavy at this early stage. I think there's some guys that just need to prove it. I like Kramkowski, even though he got touched up a little bit by Coastal today. Like that's a kid that puts on like 15 pounds this winter. And then you're like, okay, why didn't we have him in the top 15? Like forever ago. It's like 94 to 96 touch and 8 with an absolute frisbee. I think he could surprise some people, and he looks like a baby too. Like there's like from an old school scouting perspective, Kramkowski looks the part. So yeah, man, like there's a lot of intrigue, but a lot of unproven arms, and Liam Peterson and Gabe Geckel are really the only two that stand out to me as like these guys have a lot of the boxes already checked. And now they just need to go out and perform.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. And you mentioned Kramkowski. Like, me and Jerry, I think, saw him the first start of the year. It was a Saturday against, I want to say it was Clemson.
Yeah, it was Clemson.
And he just left everything middle. Like, the stuff was obviously there, but Clemson just absolutely tattooed him because he was leaving everything, down Broadway, he just wasn't really commanding the baseball well. Then just all of a sudden, like, here's a kid that's now like, he is going 6-7 strong. He's not striking out a ton of guys, but he's put together a strong track record for, I want to say this is his first year, like, fully pitching for them.
It is.
So I think he's got good stuff. He's another guy like with Flora where he doesn't have that changeup to really rely upon. And I think that's what happened. That's what hurt Flora a lot this year was not having to outpitch to lefties. But you mentioned, being super elastic, super athletic. That's a guy that you give him that outpitch to lefties. And Kramkowski falls into the same mold where like these guys could be legitimate household names within the next 8-9 months, depending on how they develop.
Yeah, I should have brought him up and I didn't, but my pitching crush in 2026 is Nathan Taylor out of Cincinnati. I don't know if you guys know him. Yeah, 6'5", 235, and it's like every pitch under the sun, and it just looks really easy for him on the mound. So I think he could make a big jump, but he's not a mover. the type of mover that looks like he's going to be 6 to 8 anytime soon. So maybe a capped ceiling from a college perspective, but just a guy that probably ends up in the second round and teams are really excited about it. Just a real physical pitchability guy, kind of like a Cal Steven.
Yeah. No, and like that Cincinnati team was sneaky good this year too.
They're fun.
They've got some talent, man. Carrington Cross
is going to go early.
Yeah. I think looking at that, like, the glove took a step forward this year. Bat the ball got a bit better. There's more pull side. It was a heavy pull side approach, anyways, but he somehow got better on it, which is really weird. And then, like, for Vidorek is like one of the biggest power guys in the country, and you wouldn't know it because he's like 6 foot 190.
Yeah. There's something weird about Vidorek. He's another one of those like pretty framey outfielders with big bat speed. I think it said he runs like a 65% ground ball rate or something weird, but yeah, Landon Vidorek. Was he Cincinnati? He is Cincinnati, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, they had some real pro talent on that team.
Yeah. And he is also like a 60-70 runner too.
Yeah, burner.
Yeah,
real burner.
Like
doesn't really play in the outfield though. It just kind of plays on the bases, which is kind of a strange trait.
Very strange. But like it's definitely an intriguing team, and like what Taylor's obviously a sophomore. There's a couple other guys. Derek Pitts, I think, is his name. He's coming back next year. Cal,
or so they say.
Yeah. Cal
Sefcik. I remember watching Cal Sefcik in high school, and in my report, I was like, this dude, if he doesn't make it in the big leagues, is going to win so many beer league MVP titles because he is such a brutish, flat swinging slugger. Like he has a softball, like a swing built for softball gods. And I actually didn't think it was going to translate to the college level, but here I am with him I think I have him in my top like 5 or 6 rounds next year.
Love it.
Yeah. Cal Sefcik. That's truly what I wrote in the report. I was like, this guy looks like a beer league superstar.
The last topic I kind of wanted to touch on, I know we're over an hour now. Probably could keep going for like 3 hours at this point. But just kind of how the draft landscape has changed, right? You have the impact of NIL. I think we saw it last year with guys like William Schmidt going to campus. A lot of the eligibility shifts happening in the college game. How do you kind of see those kind of impacting the draft just in general?
I mean, the biggest change that I have noticed is guys in the 7th to 20th round are just not guaranteed to go pro at all. Like all of those guys seem to be transferring for $200K or $150K or whatever. Like who are the guys that we've already talked about this year? Like I don't think Ryan Weidman is a great example, but who's the kid that just committed to LSU? I have to look it up. He's the third baseman at High Point.
Simpson, Braden Simpson.
Yeah, Braden Simpson. So like that's a guy that I had in as like early day 3 flyer. And then he committed to LSU, and I was like, all right, well, he's definitely not going to get paid now because LSU is going to give him, I don't know what they're giving him. I'm just making this number up, but they're going to give him like $200K, $225K. And why would you take less than that in professional baseball when you still project to be at least a day 3 guy next year?
Yeah.
So yeah, man, it's been really weird. I think it especially impacts the mid-major type of guys who have D1 opportunities in, like I said, in the 8 to 20 round range. And then also, it's the hulking slugger type. I wonder if Nico Cavadas would have stayed at Notre Dame for like 6 years if he was in this if he was in this like era. But like we saw Jared Jones go back to school. I entirely expect Ethan Frey to go back to school. Like that type of player just can get a fraction of their 6th or 7th round slot and just return to school and become a full hero. And then they're still the same player. Like, does the Hispanic Titanic go back to Texas for another year if NIL is there? Like probably, although he's not a great example. He went in the 2nd round. I think he got like $800K. So, but yeah, it's definitely changed things dramatically for the non-premium athlete and the mid-major with transfer possibilities. I don't particularly like it. The one thing I do like, and the one thing I will say about NIL, and this is coming from a Washington State graduate, a school that has arguably been, beaten down to dust worse than anyone else in the country. Even though it makes the gap even bigger, this legislation that was just announced, where schools can pay students directly, I think the visibility that is going to provide in terms of what schools are paying, I think we're going to get visibility into how much a school is specifically paying a program for NIL. Like, we may not learn what one player is getting. I don't know if that's going to be legal, but I know it's going to be a public records request to ask how much of this money is going
total allotment
to certain sports, right? So I think that visibility is going to help with the sports landscape from a transparency perspective, but it's certainly changed the draft considerably.
My buddy, I'm good friends with Austin Byler, and he was at Nevada, and he's like, I would have killed for NIL. He's like, I wouldn't have gone to the Diamondbacks in the draft. He's like, I would have gone and tried to get another year eligibility and try to play again. I mean, I get it for these guys.
I will say one misconception with the NIL thing is most people aren't making anything. Most people are like getting a full ride scholarship. Even the guys going to LSU and Tennessee and this place and that place. And there's this like misconception that guys are making $1 million or guys are making this. There are a couple of guys making, $700K that has been reported. But most guys, Aiden Robbins, Joe Tiroli at Ryder, these guys, I don't expect that they're going to be getting life-changing money. So
that's like
if anybody's listening to this, just know that.
That's what I was going to say. When I saw like Ryan Waldschmidt went to Georgia, I'm like, he's probably not getting a massive NIL deal to go there.
Yeah, like Weidman, I don't know what they might be giving him $300K, $250K, but I don't think it's going to be enough to keep him out of pro ball. I would actually be surprised if it's $300K.
Yeah,
to be honest with you, I bet it's less.
Yeah, that's what I think, especially with some of the ACC school too, because like you look at what's gone on with like Coach Pollard going from Duke to UVA. And then in the same kind of like mold, O'Connor going from UVA to Mississippi State, where these schools just don't have the NIL to compete, and then you get clashes with the ADs and everything, and here we are. I just wonder how that's going to look like moving forward under this new legislation too.
Well, now it's just going to be athletic departments.
Yeah.
Now it's going to be what athletic department has the budget for it. So it's going to be just a more scaled example of what we've seen. It's just going to be like Texas A&M and Texas have so many boosters in like the oil industry and stuff like that just have infinite amounts of money that they can pay these big collectives. The athletic departments are now going to be the ones that can pay it. So it's like, how much is a school making in football ticket sales? That's going to directly impact the baseball team now and things like that. So it's not going to be so solely reliant on whales to pay these kids.
Yeah.
And so the small schools, I think, the Dukes, the Virginias, not so much Virginia, but definitely Duke. Like Duke's athletic department doesn't bring in much money from football.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Duke just lost its starting quarterback to Oregon State.
Yeah.
So
I want to say they got the kid from Tulane in the portal too, the Mensa kid, who supposedly got a bunch of money, but I don't know the full details. But you mentioned it, losing your starting quarterback to Oregon State in this era.
Oregon State has no money.
Yeah.
They do not have NIL. So I mean, I understand they like really, really went balls to the wall for that Duke quarterback, but the fact that Duke lost their quarterback to a team currently like in purgatory, they don't really have a conference. It's like it just speaks to the haves and the have-nots, and it's just not it's not an issue that the SEC schools of the world have to deal with.
Yeah.
They can find money. And do you know how easy it is for an SEC school to find $300K in its athletic budget to go steal so-and-so from Florida? So easy.
Yeah. It's kind of one of those big advantages. And coming from, I went to University of Nevada, Reno, and I see them invest so much money in that football team. And I think they've won no more than 3 games in the last 3 years per season. And it's just like, why aren't you investing in like the basketball team or the baseball team? Like teams that like it doesn't take as much budget to all of a sudden make them successful. Because I feel like
there's no ROI.
Yeah.
That's the problem is like the basketball program isn't actually making money.
Yeah.
The football, even though they stink, you pull 9,000 people.
Yeah.
Even 9,000 people on a game day.
You're
making money. They say, what is it, like 95% of an athletic budget of athletic revenue at these schools comes from football.
Yep.
It's a ton. Sense. Like it's so football ostensibly is going to drive the baseball programs.
Yeah. I guess we'll wrap up into any final thoughts. Tyler, any final thoughts on your end?
Not entirely, no. It's like I think biggest thought here, obviously, Joe Doyle. Like finally making this happen after you were so gracious enough to have me on your podcast, man. First off.
Gotta have you back. Gotta have you both back.
Dude, like I'm going to continue the little sappy, like Joe's awesome thing here. Like, if you
Joe hates it,
I know, but like again, at the same time, if it's not for Joe, I would argue that I'm not in the position that I am today. So first off, Joe, thank you for taking a gamble on a kid from middle of buttfuck nowhere, North Carolina, to not only like help teach but to help grow. Like, I think that's probably the best way to put it is like, not to make it like a full like sap story, but like there's no chance that I had the opportunity to do this stuff without your help. So first off, thank you for that. And
all love, brother. By the way, I didn't do much. Dude, guys with Tyler's grind don't grow on trees. So
agreed.
You're self-motivated, and that's like 99% of the battle.
It is, and that's completely correct. But also, like you definitely taking me under the wing with Jeff and Smitty. Like, God, it would be so cool to have all 4 of us back together, man. That would be awesome.
It's crazy to see where that whole crew has gone.
I joined in like last minute. I was there last month, basically.
I don't know how long we crossed over. I think it was only like 8 months or something.
Yeah, a few months.
Yeah. So, but I enjoyed working with you too. And know, one thing that we struggled with for the 4 or 5 years that I was there, maybe it wasn't that long. I guess I was there for 3.5, 4 years. Was we struggled to get on camera talent. There was a lot of really, really, really good writers and evaluators and people that knew how to do this shit, but everyone was pretty uncomfortable in front of the camera, and you were a very good breath of fresh air when you arrived because you're really good at it. That. So
I still don't think I'm great at it, but
you are good at it. You are good at it. You're comfortable in front of a camera. So man, I don't want to say I miss those days because I do think we've all gone on and done bigger and better things. But getting the ability to work with you guys and collaborate with you guys on agenda items and ideas was really, really cool. So I miss that.
Yeah. Well, this has been awesome. My only final thoughts before I turn over to you, Joe, is that Dax Whitney has a 15 whiffs and 4 innings and 9 Ks. Patrick Forbes.
I wish that kid wanted to go pro. There are so many teams that wanted that kid to go pro, and
I'm sure
he turned down so much freaking money in the draft. And you want to talk about college pitchers that like 2027? Yeah. You know what's funny? Really quick side.
No, go for it.
It's a really quick, and There are so many people that crush Kyson Witherspoon for his delivery and the short, tight, compact, early handbrake elbow spiral. And then they crown Dax Whitney as like a perfect candidate in 2027. I'm like, they're the same exact guy.
Yeah.
Okay, one of them is 6'4", one of them is 5'11", but it's the exact same delivery.
Yep.
Like, dang. Also, Shane Bieber, Cutter Crawford, they all do it. Like, it's not some disqualifier. So it is something to note, but Chris O'Leary over here, Jesus.
Yeah. Joe's final thoughts. There it is.
My final thoughts. Yeah,
stop hating on Kyson Witherspoon.
Stop hating on Kyson and short, compact arm actions. It's fine. He was throwing 98 in May.
Yeah,
everyone.
He's doing the same in the SEC tournament.
Everyone relax. Like, I know he got blown up in his final start, which I think tarnishes what was an immaculate year. But like, who cares about the delivery? Like, his stuff. He was like 96 into the 6th inning.
Yeah,
every week. So, but anyways.
He went like 7 innings, 2 runs, I think, and like 6 strikeouts in the SEC tournament. 2 earned, I think, that entire outing. It was good.
He somehow gets buried in this class. I'm not sure why, but
what about you, Joe? Any final thoughts? Anything you want to plug that you got upcoming?
No, I can't give it away. Tyler knows what's up. I got some cool stuff coming. Stay tuned over the next handful of weeks. I'll be at the Combine next week. Be at the draft in 3 weeks. Be at Area Codes and East Coast Pro this summer. It's gonna be a great summer.
Awesome, love it. Yeah, Connor Dornery on our team will be out at the Combine as well. We'll have tons of content coming out as well. Be sure to check out Joe on his X account, on Overslot, every other thing you can think of, the Future Star Series, Top 500, all that fun stuff. So till next time, we'll see you.